on Global Village. Why then do you live back in the days? Don't be left behind. Join the new normal of digital world. Let radio and television be at your fingertips. Get news and current events, entertainment, sports, kiddies programs, and more at your beck and call on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Just visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms. Then you are a global citizen. Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Voice of the voiceless.
It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. It's a lovely Monday morning, the 11th day in the month of September 2023. Good morning to you. Of course, it is a beautiful day from here. I'm sure it is a beautiful day on the other side while you're watching Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Welcome to Freshlight, a fresh episode for the week. And of course, on Freshlight, we'll take you through some of the headlines and stories to keep you abreast and updated on happenings in the country and, of course, outside Nigeria. My name is Modupe Akinyosoye, and this morning I have the Nation newspaper, I have the Disney newspaper, I have the Vanguard newspaper, and I have the Punch newspaper with me, which we will be perusing this morning to get through some of the headlines in our newspapers. All right, we pick up the Punch newspaper this morning, and let's get to see what we have on the front page of the Punch newspaper. On the National Assembly polls, tribunals to decide 400 cases and sittings. This comes with 7 riders, triple riders to be precise, and you get that on page 2 in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, also from the front page, you get to see banks' bad loans eat 478 billion naira amid economic downturn. You have that on page 19 in the Punch. State gets 1.51 trillion naira FAAC allocation in 6 months. Native reporting that on page 19 as well in the Punch newspaper. Federal government and foreign airlines meet as flight disruptions worsen. You get that details on page 29 in the Punch newspaper. And also from the front page of the Punch, Ogun ex-governor Daniel's wife clash over plaza demolition. You have that on page 7 in the Punch. NDLEA seizes 399 explosives and illicit drugs, grammar and others arrested. That Metro story you get on page 5 in the Punch newspaper. 24 dead, 30 rescued in Niger boat accident. That on page 5 in the Punch newspaper. And also you get to see a couple of pictures right at the front page on the Morocco earthquake victims. Rise to, okay, we have the headline, Morocco earthquake victims rise to 2,122 and children worst hit. That rather sad story, an incident on page 8 in the Punch newspaper. And you get to see a picture of that very story on the front page of the Punch. And quickly going through some of the stories in the Punch newspaper, we'll start with 13-hour PEPT judgment raises more dust, exposes petitions loopholes. The verdict of the Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal delivered a poignant lesson to the litigants, lawyers, and politicians. The judgment of the Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal, where President Bola Tinubu was reaffirmed as the winner of the contentious February 25 presidential poll, may have come and gone, but the memory and impact of the verdict would continue to linger. Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress had scored a total of 8.7 million votes to defeat the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and his Labour Party counterpart, Peter Obi, who polled 6.9 million and 6.1 million votes respectively. The rest of that you get in the Punch newspaper. 13-hour PEPT judgment raises more dust and exposes petitions loopholes. Away from that, you have the story also from the Punch. Our fuel subsidy and others stalled modular refineries take off. You get that report, the report where Okechukwu Unodim writes on how the prolonged subsidy on premium motor spirit and other factors stalled the takeoff of modular refineries in Nigeria. You get details of that with the headline, Our fuel subsidy and others stalled modular refineries takeoff. That in the Punch. Away from that, let's take a story from the Gateway State. Ogun, ex-governor Daniel's wife clash over plaza demolition. The Ogun State government said it took proactive measures by partially pulling down Datkem Plaza, Ijebu-Ode, said to be owned by Mrs. Olufunke Daniel, the wife of the state's former governor, Otunbagbenga Daniel. The governor called the plaza an illegal structure without an approved plan and added that it contravened the state physical planning laws. In a Sunday statement signed by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development, Olayiwola Abiodun, the government said the structure violated the building codes of the state with numerous defects. And it said several efforts made by the state government to halt further development on site were ignored by the developers. And it said the government officials requested a structural engineer in charge of the building to assess the structural equilibrium of the building, a request that was ignored. The rest of that in the Punch newspaper. Ogun, ex-governor Daniel's wife clash over plaza demolition. Away from that, we also have this very sad story from the Metro page of the Punch. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway crash claims 2 lives. 2 people died while 1 was injured in an accident involving a Mazda bus and a Mazda car at along Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway. The spokesperson for the Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps, Babasude Akibiye, confirmed the incident to newsmen in Abeokuta. Akibiye stated that the accident occurred at 7:10 a.m. at Ayedere Village, a Wekoro local government area of the state. He noted that the accident was caused by the driver of the unregistered Mazda car who drove against traffic and had a head-on collision with the Mazda bus marked SEY 311ZY. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway crash claims 2 lives. The Metro page of the Punch captures that story. Also from the Metro page, we have NDLEA seizes 399 explosives and illicit drugs, grammar and others arrested. No fewer than 399 pieces of improvised explosive devices were recovered by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency from one Asheno Leke 39 along Mokwa Jeba Road on Thursday, September 7. The suspect, who said the explosives were handed to him at a park in Ibadan, Oyo State, to be delivered to someone in Kaduna, had scenes alongside the exhibits being transferred to the military authorities in Niger State. Apart from the various drug control efforts, the NDLEA state commands and other formations also continue the anti-narcotic agency's war against drug abuse advocacy campaigns in schools, worship places, palaces, and local communities, amongst others. And the spokesperson for the NDLEA, Femi Babafemi, made the development known on Sunday in an official email received by the Punch Metro. NDLEA seizes 399 explosives, illicit drugs, grammar, and others arrested. From the Punch newspaper. Away from the Punch, let's get to see what we have on the front page of another newspaper this morning. Let's get to see the front page of the Nation newspaper. All right, from the Nation newspaper, you have Tinubu strikes multiple deals with Germany, Korea, and India. You definitely get the details of that in the Nation newspaper on page 4. You have that with triple riders that says world leaders pledge more interest in agriculture, fintech, education, and defense. German Chancellor for Nigeria next month. President in United Arab Emirates to resolve bilateral disagreement. You have that on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Also from the front page, President fair to Igbo with appointment, says Soludo. That on page 6 in The Nation. Acquisition of bank, CBN Deputy Governor quizzed. Page 6 also captures the detail of that very story. United Nigeria 6 slots into London, Dubai and other routes. Page 7 has that. Ogun government, Daniel's wife clash over vandalized plaza. That's also resurfacing, and you get that on page 8 in The Nation newspaper. Also from the front page, British warship in Lagos. You have that on page 8 in The Nation. Federal roads collapse across state with double riders. VP directs urgent action on Jalingo Yola Road. Governor seek Umahi's quick intervention. That's on page 6 in The Nation newspaper. Also from the front page of The Nation, Morocco earthquake death toll passes 2,000. That rather sad story and incident on page 8 in The Nation. Drone attack kills 40 in Khartoum. The foreign story also on page 8 in the Nation newspaper. And of course, we also have this headline on the front page of The Nation. 26 die in Niger boat accident. That on page 66 in The Nation. Eagles wall of Sao Tome 6-0. That on page 63 in The Nation newspaper, the sports story. Quickly going through The Nation newspaper, let's see what we have. This is the best time to invest in Nigeria, the statement credited to Elumelu. Ongoing macroeconomic reforms have the potential to significantly leverage Nigeria's investment market and deliver above average returns to investors. One of Africa's leading investors and entrepreneur, Mr. Tony Elumelu, said the economic atmosphere in Nigeria offers the best opportunity for good returns for investors. Elumelu owns the single largest stakes in several publicly quoted companies, including United Bank for Africa, UBA PLC, Transnational Corporation of Nigeria, Transcorp PLC, Transcorp Hotels PLC, United Capital PLC, and Africa Prudential. Elumelu's shares holdings also own major stakes in insurance, real estate, power, and financial services company. From The Nation, this is the best time to invest in Nigeria, says Elumelu. Away from that, we also have a story from a report from The Nation. Tinubu strikes multiple deals with Germany, Korea, and India. With triple riders, world leaders pledge more interest in agriculture, fintech, education, and defense. Germany Chancellor for Nigeria next month. President in United Arab Emirates to resolve bilateral disagreement. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has secured major investment commitments and economic cooperation from 3 of the world's largest economies. He got commitment from German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to expand their investment frontiers in Nigeria. The pledge was an acknowledgement of the policies initiated by the Tinubu administration to reboot the economy, and Tinubu held business talks and stepped up bilateral engagement with key economic partners on the sidelines of a G20 summit which closed yesterday in New Delhi in India. Tinubu strikes multiple deals with Germany, Korea, and India. The Nation captures that story. And also we have a report that says British warship in Nigeria. A Royal Navy warship, HMS Trent, arrived in Lagos yesterday. It is Trent's second visit to Nigeria as part of its West African regional mission to aid British allies and partners in driving down illegal activities, including piracy and illicit trafficking, according to the British High Commission. Senior Press and Public Affairs Officer Ndudi Amaka Eze explained that the visit would help deliver capacity training and support maritime security in the region. HMS Trent departed Gibraltar carrying an expert boarding team of UK Royal Marines and a Puma surveillance drone. The ship's mission is to assist countries in West Africa to develop capability to fight illegal crimes at sea and ensure they can play an effective role in bringing stability. British warship in Nigeria. The Nation captures that story. And also from the Nation newspaper, Soludo says, President fair to Igbo with appointment. Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo has reflected on the distribution of appointments by President Bola Tinubu, saying that is fair to the Southeast geopolitical zone. The governor, who is the national leader of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, said the president has not marginalized Ndigbo despite losing the 5 states during the February 25 election. And Soludo said the appointment of the former governor of Ebonyi State, Senator Dave Umahi, as Minister of Works meant that President Tinubu never considered the regional disposition and voting pattern. And during the poll, All Progressives Congress APC, on which platform the president ran, got 127,605 votes. Soludo says President fair to Igbo with appointment from the Nation. And also the Nation has this very report that says Biden applauds Tinubu's policies to reform economy. Excited by the role played by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in preserving the rule of law and democracy in Niger Republic, United States President, U.S. President Joe Biden has applauded the Nigeria leader. Biden's commendation was contained in a statement released by the White House during the second day of the G20 summit in India. Besides, the U.S. president also acknowledged the policies so far introduced by the Tinubu administration to reforming Nigeria's economy. He restated the America's commitment to reinforcing its long-standing relationship with Nigeria. Biden applauds Tinubu's policies to reform economy. The Nation captures that story. We proceed after this short commercial break on Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Stay with us.
gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gbayì tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó bágbà mu ló ń kọjá lọ sí House of Zayana. House of Zayana, the name I know when we talk of top-notch fashion, quality materials and class. House of Zayana, lẹ́tí máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt and Malaysia clothing, Dubai, àwọn designer bags lóríṣiríṣi, àwọn ìtẹ̀lẹ̀ bàtà tó jiná tí wọ́n fawọ́ original ṣe, àwọn aago kájọ́ tó ń ka wákàtí ọjọ́, designer sunglasses and perfumes, pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo nǹkan tóbìnrin àsìkò fi ń gbafẹ́ lò gbà. Mo débẹ̀, ojú mi ń ṣe kámi, èmi ni ó rà, èmi ni ó mú. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí ẹlẹ́sìn tẹ́ gbòógè gbọ́n pa fashion tẹ́ wá nílò jàlábíà, hijab àti àbáyà lóríṣiríṣi. House of Zayana lẹ́ ò ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zayana wà ní 52 Ọlọ́run ṣògo road adjacent Redeemed Church Agape Parish Ọlọ́run ṣògo Abẹ́òkúta. Lórí Instagram House of Zayana 08165688618. House of Zayana, ilé ìtajà tá a ti ń tojúlówó aṣọ àti nǹkan aṣaralóge tí ń gbéni níyì.
Thousands have been disappointed severally in their bid to seek greener pasture abroad. To those quack in the traveling agency business, it is a rocket science. That is not our case at Tausaf Travels and Tour. We have in-depth details on how to successfully, without stress, help you process and secure your visa to anywhere in the world. Do you want permanent residential visa, visiting and tourism visa, student visa to places like Europe, America, Asia, Africa? It's no big deal to us at Tausaf Travels and Tour. Our years of experience and expertise speaks volume for us. Let's process and secure visa for you to UK, USA, and Canada within a twinkle of an eye. We offer Hajj and Umrah services to our Muslim faithfuls. What are you waiting for? Consult us at number 9 Tausaf Central Mall, Sholanke Street, behind Laroy Hotel, Abiola Way, Abeokuta. 0802 733 0900 or 0806 578 4060. Stop wasting money. Pay for peace of mind. Talk to Tausaf Travels and Tour.
Thank you so much for staying with us. This is still Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and still perusing pages of our dailies this morning. We pick up the This Day newspaper and let's get to see what we have on the front page of the This Day newspaper. All right, on the front page we have Tinubu meets U.S. President Joe Biden, scores Yul and Modi That comes with several riders, and you get that on page 5 in the This Day newspaper. Also from the front page, despite assurances, NNPC partners still far from meeting OPEC's 1.74 million barrels per day oil production. This comes with double riders. Nigeria recorded 560,000 barrels per day, 17.3 million barrels deficit in August. Estimated $1.47 billion, that's 1.12 trillion naira gross revenue lost to underproduction in 1 month. That business report, you have that on page 5 in the This Day newspaper. Away from that, you also have Labour Party, election court, APC must come clean over governing party's imprint on CTC judgment. You have that on page 5 in the This Day newspaper. Nigeria needs 10 years to replace 500 migrating doctors. You have that on page 8 in the This Day newspaper. And of course, you get to see the picture of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and United States President Joe Biden during the meeting on the sidelines of G20 summit in New Delhi, India yesterday. And also you get to see also the photographer president, the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, taking photo of Director General of the WTO, that's Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, flanked by U.S. National Security Advisor, Mr. Jake Sullivan, personal aide to Okonjo-Iweala, Ms. Nicole Mensah, and others discussing reform of the dispute settlement system at the G20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi in India. Away from the front page, let's get to see a couple of stories in the This Day newspaper. All right, we start with Tinubu meets U.S. President Joe Biden. President Joe Biden, call Yul and Modi. This comes with several riders. Holds audience with World Bank, European Commission President, canvasses practical next steps in bilateral reactions. American leader hails federal government's move to revive Nigeria's economy, applauds ECOWAS efforts in Nigerian crisis. Tinubu heads to United Arab Emirates to discuss visa ban, flight suspension, and others. President Bola Tinubu yesterday met with United States President Joe Biden and 3 other major counterparts from Germany, South Korea, and India on economic diplomacy and canvassed practical next steps in bilateral relations among the nation. The meetings held on the sidelines of a G20 summit in New Delhi were an opportunity for Tinubu to increase economic diplomatic relations at the bilateral and multilateral levels. And Tinubu, who departed New Delhi for Nigeria with a stopover in Abu Dhabi, also held bilateral talks with United Arab Emirates, UAE authorities, especially as regards pending disagreement between the two countries. The president had audience with the World Bank and European Commission president and equally canvassed practical steps in improving bilateral relations with countries. The rest of that very report in the This Day newspaper. Tinubu meets U.S. President Joe Biden, calls Yul and Modi. Away from that, we also are from the This Day newspaper, this very report. Delta, Akwa Ibom, Rivers lead as 36 states received 1.51 trillion naira allocation in first half of 2023, and this comes with a rider. Native expresses concern over Ogun debt-related deductions. Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Rivers State took the lion's share of the 1.51 trillion naira statutory federation account revenue allocations to the 36 states in the first 6 months of 2023, a report by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NATI, revealed yesterday. It meant that the 36 states of the federation collected 34.5% of the total 4.37 trillion naira shared by the 3 tiers of government between January and June 2023, the organization stated. And in all, NATI noted that the state received about 817.79 billion naira from the 2.32 trillion naira total distributable allocation to the fourth quarter and 688.2 billion naira of the 2.04 trillion naira allocations in the second quarter. And the report showed that a 12% decline in the overall allocation in the second quarter resulted in a 15.8% reduction in the share to the state in the fourth quarter from 817.8 billion naira to 688.2 billion naira And despite the decline in the overall allocation, the Nation noted that the share of the state's allocations exceeded the federal government's when the 13% derivation revenue was added. The rest of that very business report you get in the This Day newspaper with the headline Delta Akwa Ibom Rivers lead as 36 states received 1.51 trillion naira allocation in first half of 2023. Away from that, we also have the story from the This Day that says report. Few unemployed youth benefit from government safety net. Omolabake Fashogbon, not up to 1% of over 50% unemployed youth population in Nigeria have been able to access support from government social safety net structures which are set up to cushion effect of poverty and unemployment. Moreover, religious bodies where the unemployed fall back on for relief after facing denial in government net have proven unproductive, forcing many youth to resort to side hustle to survive. In its 2022 recent report, West Africa's online job platform, Jobberman, further reckoned that limited coverage and weak targeting of social interventions, amongst others, may have denied a larger percentage of youth due access. And noting that Nigeria's increasing unemployment rate on a yearly average of 6% was worrying with a far-reaching effect, Chief Executive Officer of Jobberman, Oreoluwa Boboye, said it was high time that youth shifted their priorities away from white-collar job and develop their side also to main job. Few unemployment youth benefit from government safety nets. Reports revealing that from the This Day newspaper. And also we have a story here to whom it may concern. PENCOM commences 2023 online enrollment exercise. The National Pension Commission, PENCOM, will commence the 2023 online verification and enrollment exercise for prospective retirees of federal government treasury-funded ministries, departments, and agencies who are due to retire in 2024. The enrollment exercise will be held from 2nd of October to 31st of December 2023. And to adapt to the evolving landscape of pension fund administration, PENCOM embarked on a proactive journey to modernize and simplify the pension verification and enrollment process for prospective retirees. And recently, PENCOM issued a revised guidance note to pension fund administrators on online enrollment to ensure a seamless transition into retirement for government employees. And central to this exercise is the online enrollment application hosted on the PENCOM website www.pencom.gov.ng. The rest of that you get in the This Day newspaper. PENCOM commences 2023 online enrollment exercise. Away from the This Day, let's see what we have in the Vanguard newspaper before we draw the curtain this morning of Freshlight. All right, from the front page of the Vanguard, fresh inflation fears as top firms lose 656 billion naira to forex woes. This comes with several riders, and you get details on page 19 in the Vanguard. Controversy trails sale of any onshore oil assets to Owando. 21, page 21 has the details. Anguish, chaos, gridlock over relocation of airlines. Page 27 has the details of that. 26 die in Niger boat mishap and several others missing. The rather sad story on page 6 in the Vanguard. Why Nigeria should be included in G20. Foreign Minister Tugar revealing that on page 9 in the Vanguard newspaper. Wali Edun to Indian investors. Federal government removing obstacles to forex trade, inflation and stability. You have that on page 25 in the Vanguard newspaper. Also on fee, varsity is in desperate situation, difficult to retain old rates. Unilag VC revealing that on page 9 in the Vanguard. PEPT must explain Tinubu's imprint on judgment. Labour Party also revealing that on page 8 in the Vanguard. Away from that, also from the front page, United Nigeria Airlines gets approval for direct flight to USA, Europe and Middle East. You have that on page 9 in the Vanguard. On Morocco quake, rescuers comb rubble for survivors as death toll hits 2,122. The rather sad incident on page 8 in the Vanguard newspaper. And also PEPT verdict, fate of Nigeria hangs in the balance. Catholic bishops revealing that on page 5 in the Vanguard newspaper. And also a sports headline here says, Osimhen scores hat-trick as Eagles tomb Sao Tome. That's on page 29 in the Vanguard newspaper. And also you get to see the picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with President to the Republic of Korea, Young Suk Yeol, during G20 summit of world leaders in New Delhi, India, yesterday, last Saturday. That's the day before yesterday. All right, let's quickly go through the Vanguard newspaper. Okay, let's start with this very story here from the bishops that says, fate of Nigeria hangs in the balance, says Catholic bishops with double riders, say future of democracy stands on the edge of precipice, laments worsening insecurity, ailing economy. Amid the lingering controversy over the judgment of the Presidential Elections Petitions Tribunal, PEPT, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, has said Nigeria currently stands on the precipice of uncertainty as the case moves to the Supreme Court. Addressing the opening ceremony of the 2023 Second Plenary Assembly of the CBCN in Abuja yesterday, the president of the conference, Archbishop Lucius Iwejuru Ugorji, voiced concern over the conduct of the elections, which he said fell short of people's legitimate expectations and moral and legal standards. He highlighted the dismissive approach of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal towards the petitions filed by aggrieved contestants. The rest of that you see in the Vanguard. On the PEPT verdict, fate of Nigeria hangs in the balance, says Catholic bishops. Away from that, we also have the story from the Vanguard newspaper. All right, so let's take a trip to Ondo State. And we have this very story from Ondo State. 33 local council development areas. Akeredolu signs bill into law. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State weekend signed the bill creating 33 local council development areas, LCDAs, in the state. The bill was presented to the governor for assent by the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Mr. Oladiji Olamide. In a statement, the governor's chief press secretary, Richard Olatunde, stated that principal officers of the State House of Assembly present at the signing of the bill include the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Bayomi Akinyosoye, Majority Leader, Mr. Oluwole, and Parliamentary Secretary, Mr. Muyoluwa Ogunwumiju, amongst others. You get that in the Vanguard. 33 local council development areas, Akeredolu signs bill into law. Away from that, we also have a business report from the Vanguard. Oil price rises to $92.79 on output cut, may hit $107. The price of Nigeria's Bonny Light weekend rose to $92.79 per barrel from $90.88 per barrel recorded last Tuesday as the impact of extended output cuts hit the market. Russia extended its voluntary crude oil export cut by 300,000 barrels daily until December 2023, while Saudi Arabia extended its 1 million daily supply cut into October 2023 to boost price stability. And the price, which is the highest in 2023, showed an excess of $17.79 per barrel against the 2023 budget's benchmark price of $75. And meanwhile, the Goldman Sachs Commodities Research Saturday predicted that oil supply cuts could lead to oil prices hitting $107 a barrel in 2024. The rest of that business story you get in the Vanguard with the headline, oil price rises to $92.79 on outputs cut, may hit $107. And taking the sport story from the Vanguard, let's get to see Sports Minister congratulates Super Eagles after Sao Tome defeat. The Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Owan Eno, has congratulated the Super Eagles on their emphatic victory over Sao Tome and Principe on Sunday in Uyo. The news agency of Nigeria reports that the Super Eagles smashed their opponent 6-0 to wrap up the African Cup of Nations AFCON 2023 qualifying series in grand style. Speaking of the outcome of the encounter, Owan Eno congratulated the team for rewarding the support of Nigerians with a good performance, and he tasked the team to win the AFCON trophy next year. Sports Minister congratulates Super Eagles over Sao Tome defeat from the sports pages of the Vanguard. And running it up with a sports story as well. On the UFC 293, Strickland defeats Adesanya to claim middleweight title. Sean Strickland defeated Israel Adesanya to become the new middleweight champion of the world, with all judges scoring the fight in this favor. A first-round knockdown by the American was the highlight of the fight that went the all 5 rounds. And you get that very story in the Vanguard newspaper. UFC 293, Strickland defeats Adesanya to claim middleweight title from the sports pages of the Vanguard newspaper. And that'll be all in Freshlight this morning on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much. Do not forget to follow us on all social media platforms. Facebook, the X app, that's Twitter, and of course on Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. And of course subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on the alarm button to get more updates and notification of our programs right on Al-IyamoyeTV and radio. Thank you so much. I remain Modupe Akinyosoye. Good morning.